Testing, testing, check. Once again, everyone, welcome to this book review journey. Today, we are seeing the great book by please, by an unknown author. That's the Mafia Managers. So, the Mafia Manager, rather. So, this book basically doesn't have the author is anonymous, right? But the book just talks about how the mafians lead and how they become very successful in business. So I would like to let us know that this is basically for business purpose. This is basically to understand the business world. For educational purpose, we are just seeing this book, The Mafia Managers, and today's session is basically going to be about what the book is about, an overview of the chapters, and how this book was sectioned. This book is very different from other books in that it didn't just give chapters. It has basically parts. So I'm just going to present a copy right now on how this looks like. So the book has several parts. That the part one talks about managing yourself. Then part two, managing others. Four parts basically. Part three, the rest of it. I think that was actually three parts. So if you go online and you search for the author of this book, you actually see that it's anonymous. So let's just do it together. Who wrote? Basically, maybe because some of the principles in this book are actually very confidential or something that the author might not want the government to know who he is. Probably just like Satoshi Nakamoto, the founder of Bitcoin. For some reason, the author might have just wanted to remain anonymous. So I tried my best to check the background and all of that, but the author just referred to himself as V, right? And some of the things he said in this book are actually very interesting. I'm actually just going to review part one first. He spoke about getting there, and what he talked about in this particular um, section. So the book has parts, and those parts have sections. It's actually a very short book, like a jota. So those parts have sections, and each sections are what you see here as chapters, and sorry, are what you see here under this part. And these sections have what they talk about, right? The getting there here, he talks about understanding who you are first, and also understanding that if you want to achieve anything in this world, most of the time you need to think for yourself. He talked about being selfish sometimes. Then talk about capos. I think the capos there, I saw it as capons, the way I grew up. So he just talks about mentorship, people that are above you. You have to learn to be under them. The book is more like showing you how the mafians think. If we want to search mafia, we'll just see he just teaching how the mafians think, of course, relating to the United States. Um, okay, if we go to Google, it talks about a secretive network of organized crime originally formed in Sicily, right? It operates strictly in codes of loyalty, silence, territorial control. Most of the time, also, he shows that the mafians, the way they think is more like they even control the government most of the time. So anything that he says in this book, any description or any explanation is given is basically because of the way mafians think. It's not just giving an explanation based on of how you should do it. He's actually showing you. So Probably the reason why it might have been anonymous is so that maybe of course, mafians are very secretive. Probably someone from their inner circle wrote the book and gave some details about what they do, and he had to just remain anonymous for his safety, right? So he talks about the next section, office politics, talks about how to play politics in office, right? Brutally, he just gave sincere truths about it. After talking about capos, this capos here, that's the mentors. You always have mentors. You have to submit. You have to learn to submit to mentors. You have to learn to be silent. You have to learn to not overtalk. Then it talks about office politicking. You need to acknowledge that it happens, right? Then in this same section, it talks about business and problems. There will always be, of course, it just talks about some manipulative things the mafians do. You can just have a you cannot just push responsibility to someone else if you know that you have foreseen this, you've done your findings, and it's not going to give you end results. So I couldn't cover up to the axioms. In the next review, we are going to see that together. So basically, this is how the book is. A very short book. Part one, part two, and part three. Subsections just explaining how the mafians think. I think the axioms, he started talking about several things and just quotes that is just going to get into your head. And the title is actually what is giving me lots of contemplations, of course, the guide to the corporate Machiavelli, and it's just about the business world, the way the mafians think, the way they subdue, the way they gain influence, and the way they grow in their business. So that's the next book we are reviewing right now. An anonymous author written in 1990, 1990, I think 1991. That was when this book was written, and a lot of truths, a lot of things to delve into the book. In the next review, in the next episode, we are definitely going to see the other part and understand how the author is trying to teach us about the mafians. Sometimes, when it comes to sales, most people recommend understanding how the mafians do what they do. So, thank you so much for joining in today. See you in the next episode.